The middleweight ADV category is extremely hot right now, and Aprilia has joined the party with the Tuareg 660. While we got a tasty first ride on the Tuareg at the world launch in Sardinia last year, that was just a one-day appetizer with very limited time off-road. We are ready for a full-course meal on our home turf. We were impressed with the Tuareg in our first test, especially with the street performance, but left Italy with two key questions. One, how will the Tuareg 660 handle the big country of the Western United States? And two, how will it compare to the alternative bikes in the ultra-competitive middleweight category? Well, we just spent several days riding the Tuareg 660 in northern Arizona. While we're not quite putting it head-to-head in a comparison just yet, we did ride it back-to-back-to-back with KTM Adventures, Standard and R models, as well as the Yamaha Tenere 700. If you want all the detailed specifications on the Tuareg 660, you can check those out in our Cycle News feature story linked below. First off, Aprilia claims ready-to-ride weight of 550 pounds with a full tank of fuel, and that is exactly what our scales indicated. And that compares well with the Tenere 700 that weighs 470 pounds and the KTM 890 Adventure, which weighs 490 pounds, with some of that extra KTM weight coming from additional fuel capacity. Speaking of fuel capacity, the Tuareg has a 4.75-gallon tank, a little larger than the 4.2-gallon capacity of the Tenere and a little less than the 5.3-gallon tank on the KTM. We averaged 55 mpg in varying conditions, so you can expect 250 plus miles of range unless you're really sloppy with the throttle hand. It is important to note that the tank is low in the frame, and what looks like the tank under the gas cap is actually the airbox, so it carries the fuel a bit lower than the T7 for sure. The seat height on the Tuareg is nearly 1 inch lower than the Tenere and Adventure R, which is nice for technical terrain, and it is still comfortable for sitting. It does feel like you sit a little more in the Tuareg rather than on it. With 9.5 inches of suspension travel front and rear via the adjustable fork and shock, it is slightly more travel than a KTM Adventure R and over an inch more than the Tenere. On the electronics front, the Tuareg comes with an impressive suite of their Aprilia Performance Ride Control, or APRC, and ABS system tuned for all-road use. APRC on the Tuareg 660 includes traction control, cruise control, engine brake, and engine map adjustments. The Tuareg also features the electronic multi-map ride-by-wire throttle system. All these systems combine in 4 pre-riding modes: Urban, Explore, Off-Road, and Individual, with different levels of interaction within the system. Urban mode is for easy riding with maximum safety intervention. Explore mode lets the bike thrill more. Off-road mode delivers usable power with minimum traction control and rear ABS disabled, and it's also worth noting that you can manually deactivate both traction control and ABS. The electronic suite works well and is closer to the KTM in terms of adjustability and functionality, while the Tenere has only one simple button to turn off the ABS. So, how does it handle the large open spaces of the Western United States? Our first impression of the Tuareg's excellent street manners was backed up on our local roads. In that first test, we said that the Aprilia Tuareg 660 is one of the best handling on-road adventure motorcycles we've ever ridden. The KTM 890 is very impressive on the road as well, and the Tuareg feels equally predictable and confidence-inspiring. We felt the Tuareg chassis had far more street performance left on tap than most of our riding group could comfortably utilize. The 660 provides plenty of power to have fun on the road and is very predictable. The different engine modes help open it up a little, and those of you that like to go fast on the road will probably enjoy wringing its neck a bit, but may not be overly impressed with the acceleration. It felt a little more powerful than the Tenere 700 overall, but the larger displacement KTM 890 Adventure makes the Tuareg feel slow by comparison, as it should. The Tuareg has a claimed 80 horsepower versus 72 for the Tenere and 100 for the KTM 890, and you can feel that on the road. Since most of the riders in our group prefer to ride on the dirt, less power is not necessarily a problem for us, but your priorities and skill on the street may be different. Even at our mellow street pace, we were missing the optional Aprilia Quickshift, a $249.95 upgrade that was fitted to the bike we rode in Italy. This is an option we would purchase, as it ramps up the fun factor on the road for sure. Yamaha does not offer a Quickshift on the Tenere, but it is available as an option on the KTM 890 Adventure as well. One other notable standard feature on the Tuareg is cruise control. This is not available for the Tenere, and we were reminded how much we missed it every time we ended up back on the Yamaha. The seemingly endless dirt roads in northern Arizona are where we really wanted to put the Tuareg to the test. And that is where we spent most of our riding time. The region has everything from well-groomed dirt roads that you can drive a car down to quote-unquote roads and trails that most people don't want to take an adventure bike on. We rode as much of all of it as possible. The Tuareg is very comfortable in the dirt and provided the feedback and confidence to explore many challenging trails. The Tuareg is comfortable to stand up on for long periods, and the traction and cornering in the loose dirt roads are good and allow you to power out of corners nicely. The lower seat height compared to other ADV bikes provided a little more confidence in technical terrain. The motor is predictable, works well on fast roads, and is also good when the terrain gets more difficult and requires some finesse. The clutch performance, critical to low-speed traction control, was good and consistent. The off-road map setting worked great, and it is easy to change the traction control settings to your desired level of intervention. Despite the setting, the Tuareg does not have quite as much low-end grunt as the Tenere or KTM 890 Adventure, but it does come close, and it is capable. The suspension and chassis are a little harsh on rocky and rough terrain. There's a lot of adjustability with the clickers, but not enough to provide the compliance and comfort we were looking for compared to the other ADV bikes in the class. This is a bit of a trade-off for street performance, as softer suspension is usually not as good on the road due to diving under heavy braking. So again, if street performance is your priority, then you may be perfectly happy with the direction Aprilia took with the suspension and chassis settings. The flip side to the relatively stiff suspension setting is it allows for aggressive riding with little fear of blowing through the travel. To answer the first question from a ride on the island of Sardinia, the Tuareg performs well in the big country of the western United States, especially if you prefer twisty asphalt over dirt. It has plenty of range and plenty of performance. The performance is solid on dirt roads, but if you like to veer off onto the chunkier roads and trails, you will likely be looking for plusher suspension settings. How does the Tuareg compare to some of the most popular sub-1000cc adventure bikes? Well, with a suggested retail of around $12,000 before accessories, it's approximately $2,000 more than the Yamaha and $2,500 less than the KTM 890 Adventure R. This puts it right in the middle of the competitors. The Tuareg includes a lot of electric aids that are not available on the Yamaha, but the Yamaha doesn't really feel that it needs those aids and provides a lot of bang for the buck. The KTM 890 Adventure R is premium, and it's a little more refined in the suspension performance and sets the bar in the dirt, but still works well on the street. And the additional engine displacement provides more thrill on the road, but is well managed by the electronics package for technical dirt riding. But you don't get that extra performance for free. So, the Tuareg holds its own in a tough field of middleweight adventure bikes, and it has the legs to stretch out in the United States. Sitting from our seat, the Tuareg is a winner. We can't wait to test it with other bikes coming up soon. Be sure to check out the full feature story in Cycle News. Comment below on other bikes you'd like to see us put the Tuareg 660 up against. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and check back for more videos. Thanks for watching.